My name is Olivia, and I'm 40 years old. I've been married to my husband, Michael, who is the same age, for 10 years. We used to work in the same department, but now we're in different branches. Michael is a responsible man who is admired by his coworkers. He likes to show off a bit and doesn't want to show his weaknesses. He's very confident, ambitious, and good at his job. His bosses like him, and they expect him to get promoted soon. On the other hand, I'm more low-key and don't stand out much. Given our different personalities, I was surprised when Michael showed a lot of interest in me. After dating for 2 years, he proposed with a big bouquet of roses. I had never been loved like that before, so I said yes immediately. I was excited about the happy life I thought was waiting for me. However, things didn't go as I imagined. I had to live with my in-laws. I wasn't expecting this and wanted to refuse, but Michael insisted. He said, "My parents are good people, so it will be fine," and explained how much they were looking forward to me living with them. I couldn't say no, so for the last 10 years, I've lived with my in-laws in Michael's family home. Life there was far from what I had expected when I first got married. "Olivia, you forgot to clean the front door again, didn't you?" My mother-in-law's nagging started just as I finished making breakfast. "This happens every day." "I'm sorry," I said. "Don't just apologize, go clean it now if you understand," she replied. Even though I have to go to work, I'm treated like a servant every morning. Since living with my in-laws, I've had to wake up at 5 a.m. to make breakfast and clean the house. My mother-in-law, who is a housewife and stays home, doesn't do any housework herself. I hurry to finish my chores before work, and when I get home, I immediately start making dinner. By the time I go to bed, I'm so tired that I fall asleep right away. This has been my routine for years, and I often feel sick from exhaustion. I'm sure it's because of all the stress. "I don't want the neighbors to think you're being lazy, so make sure you clean properly," my mother-in-law says, while she relaxes in the living room, eating the breakfast I made. "You're going to be late for work if you don't hurry," she adds. Even though he sees all of this, my husband never stands up for me. My father-in-law just hides behind his newspaper and pretends not to notice. Since living with my husband's family, I've been treated terribly. The stress has made me lose a lot of weight, and I look unhealthy. "You're too skinny and unattractive, that's why you can't have children," my mother-in-law says. I suddenly lost a lot of weight, and my period stopped, making it impossible for me to have a child. Even though all of this was caused by my mother-in-law's stress, she kept blaming me. Before I got married, I used to take good care of my health and appearance, but now, there's barely any sign of that left. I feel depressed all the time because of the constant harassment from my mother-in-law, and when I see my changed appearance in the mirror, it shocks me. I've become completely submissive to her, and I've grown so apathetic that I don't even want to leave the house anymore. Then, I received terrible news. My father had suddenly passed away in an accident. I hadn't visited my family in a long time because whenever I mentioned going, my husband and mother-in-law would scold me. After hearing about my father's death, I deeply regretted not spending more time with him. My family home is only about an hour's drive from my in-laws' place, so I asked my husband and mother-in-law to attend my father's funeral. "There's going to be a funeral for my father," I began, but they cut me off before I could finish. "We're not going, just let your family handle it," they said coldly. I was shocked by how heartless they were. Holding back tears of grief and anger, all I could reply was, "Understood." At my father's funeral, many people gathered. He was self-employed and had many connections, and everyone there was crying, showing how much he was loved. "Olivia, it's been a while, but what happened to you? You've lost so much weight," my mother said, shocked by how tired and worn out I looked. "Oh, it's nothing," I tried to brush it off. "You're not sick, are you? I can't bear to lose you too," she said, starting to cry, still emotional from my father's death. "I'm not sick, don't worry," I reassured her and took a break in the waiting room, but her question lingered. "If you're not sick, then what's wrong?" I thought about my interactions with my husband and mother-in-law. When I told them my father had died, they didn't say a single comforting word. As I thought about it, anger welled up inside me, and I decided to tell my mother the truth. "Actually, I've been dealing with what you could call bullying from my mother-in-law. It's been wearing me out," I confessed, looking down. My mother peered into my face, concerned. "I'm relieved you're not sick, but this doesn't make me feel any better. Is that why you haven't been coming to see me?" "Yeah," I nodded, feeling ashamed. Then, my mother handed me a piece of paper. Take a look at this and think carefully about what to do next, she said. When I looked at it, I realized it was my father's will. My father, being a careful man, had left a will just in case something happened. It also mentioned inheritance. Inherit $2 million? I said in disbelief. That's what it says. You can decide how to use it. I was stunned by the large amount. At the same time, I began to feel hopeful. Maybe with this money, I could finally end this miserable life with my in-laws. With the inheritance my father left me, I could finally build my own house and move out of my in-laws' home. Things seemed to be looking up. After returning to my in-laws' house, I went back to doing the chores like always. On days when I had plans, the house was messier than usual, but that was normal since no one else ever helped clean. While working, I thought about the $2 million I had inherited. Even though I didn't get along with my mother-in-law, I still wanted to stay with my husband, Michael. I decided to have an honest conversation with him about the inheritance and suggest we move out. There's something I want to talk about, I said after Michael's parents went to bed. We were finally alone. Talk about what? Michael asked. About my father. I've received an inheritance, I began. Oh? How much? He asked curiously. It's $2 million, I said, and Michael was shocked. Wait, what? $2 million? Michael couldn't hide his excitement. Yeah, 2 million, I confirmed. Michael was thrilled and said, That's incredible. He left you that much? I was about to discuss using the money to build a house, but before I could say anything, Michael interrupted with something shocking. We need to transfer that money to my mom's bank account right away, he said. I didn't understand what he meant. It sounded so absurd, I thought he was joking. No, why? The money is mine. That doesn't make sense, I said, laughing nervously. But Michael suddenly slammed the table, angry. What are you talking about? A wife's money belongs to her mother-in-law. He wasn't joking, he was serious, and I started to feel scared. I'm sorry, but I don't understand what you're saying, I said, confused. All I wanted was to suggest we build a house together, but Michael didn't let me speak. Instead, he kept insisting the money should go to his mother. I couldn't sleep that night, still in shock. The next morning, while I was making breakfast, Michael and my mother-in-law came to me with angry expressions. Olivia, I heard about the $2 million inheritance. You said you won't give it to me? Who do you think you are? My mother-in-law demanded. But I'm the one who inherited it, I tried to explain. Stop arguing and transfer it to my parents' account now. A daughter-in-law's money is our money, Michael insisted. They were determined to take the inheritance, no matter how much I refused. They kept blaming me, and I realized my resistance was useless. Michael then showed me a piece of paper. You're getting carried away because of this money. I'm the one who's been supporting you. If you don't change your attitude, it's divorce. The paper was a divorce form, already signed by Michael. He handed it to me and said, Take this and go back to your parents' house. If you apologize properly, I might reconsider. I stared at the divorce form, feeling shocked. Memories of the past came rushing back. I had never been financially supported in this house. In fact, I had been paying the same amount for living expenses as Michael, and all the household chores were my responsibility. I hadn't received any help or care from my in-laws, even though I had always tried my best. In the end, they were trying to steal the money my father left for me. If I stayed, I might have felt pressured to give them the inheritance. But I knew this money was meant for me, and being told to leave, I saw it as a chance. Holding the divorce papers that Michael had already signed, I realized that my future was now in my hands. I resolved to never give up my father's inheritance. I made my decision. That day, after finishing work, I returned to my parents' home. I'm home, I said, feeling relieved. Welcome back. I had a feeling you'd be back soon, my mother greeted me with a warm smile. Despite my exhaustion, she had prepared a meal for me. I couldn't remember the last time I ate food made by someone else. As I took a bite of her warm cooking, tears welled up in my eyes, it was so delicious. Did you tell your husband about the inheritance? My mother asked. Yes, and it caused a lot of trouble, I replied. I told her everything about what my husband and mother-in-law had said. My mother was shocked by their behavior. The inheritance is yours, and you should decide your future, she said softly, comforting me as I cried. After staying at my parents' house for a week, I decided to return to my in-laws' home. Well, I'm off, I said. Take care, my mother said. I wasn't afraid to go back anymore. I felt stronger and more determined. When I arrived, my husband and mother-in-law were waiting for me with their arms crossed. You're finally back. Have you reflected on your behavior? They asked. Yes, I apologize. Please let me live here again, I said, giving a superficial apology. My mother-in-law grinned. Well then, hand over the inheritance, she demanded. Actually, the inheritance process is taking a while. I haven't received it yet. It's complicated, so it might take another 6 months or so, I explained. Does it really take that long? Well, fine, they said, satisfied, thinking I would give them the money eventually. However, they continued to nag me about leaving for a week. The house is a mess, because you're not doing your duties as a wife. Clean it up quickly, they ordered. The house was filthy after just 1 week, almost impressively so, but unlike before, it didn't bother me. I simply did the housework as ordered, without feeling upset. No matter how much my mother-in-law bullied me or how dirty the house was, it didn't affect me anymore. I decided to go to the police with the recordings of the harassment. Harassment from an ex-husband is not uncommon, and the police said they would issue a warning before things got worse. Thankfully, they acted quickly and went to warn my ex-husband's family. Since my ex-in-laws cared so much about their public image, just having the police show up was a big deal. To make matters worse for them, a subordinate of my ex-husband who lived nearby saw the police come by, and rumors started to spread. My ex-husband was well known in his company, so when these rumors began, they spread quickly. His colleagues and subordinates, especially those who didn't like him, began sharing bad stories about him. Soon enough, the rumors reached the department where I worked. Did you hear the police were at his place? Someone asked me. I'm divorced now, so I don't know much about him anymore, I replied loudly, making sure others could hear. I was fed up with the abusive language from my mother-in-law and my husband. This only fueled the gossip further, and it didn't take long for the rumor to reach my ex-husband's boss. His boss, fed up with the bad reputation my ex-husband was creating, said, "You've been getting a lot of bad rumors, and I hate men who don't take care of their wives. Plus, this is bad for our company's image, so I'm transferring you." The transfer was harsh. My ex-husband was sent to a small branch in the worst-performing region, far away from the city. It was a place with no entertainment, a remote area some would call a landlocked island. This transfer meant that everything my ex-husband had worked for was ruined, and his chances of promotion were gone. He had no choice but to move. As for my ex-mother-in-law, she was likely shocked by her son's ruined reputation and could no longer live with him. She became reclusive, eventually developing depression, and there were even suspicions of dementia. She started causing problems at home, and my ex-father-in-law was left to take care of her. Even though I wasn't related to them by blood, I had been treated as family, and what happened to them was simply karma for the way they mistreated me. Now, I'm living happily with my mother, and we've even started gardening in our large yard. If I had stayed in that toxic home, I never would have discovered this new hobby, which has brought me so much joy. With my new, peaceful life, my health has improved, and I feel alive again. I'm so happy to have cut ties with my former in-laws.